Welcome, friends, to this second session of today's training program. The second topic is enzymology. As I have discussed earlier, that this is also one of the topic which you should always consider when you are going to appear for the CSIR NET examination. Now, what are the different important topics which you need to prepare in this particular topic? This mainly includes general features of enzyme kinetics, enzyme inhibition, enzyme regulation, and enzyme reaction. If you will prepare these 5 topics, you can crack any question on enzymology in any of the competitive examination. Now let us first go through the general features of enzyme. You must be knowing, but let us summarize them. That as we know that enzymes are the catalyst of the biological systems, and they are the remarkable molecular devices that determines the pattern of chemical transformation. We know that enzymes are also responsible to transform one form of energy into another form. Photosynthesis is the best example where the light energy is getting converted into the chemical energy, and the bioluminescence is the best example where the chemical energy is getting converted into the light energy. They also mediate the transformation of one form of energy into another, as we have discussed. The most striking characteristic of enzymes are their catalytic power and specificity. Catalysis takes place at a particular site on the enzyme, which is called the active site. We know that active site is made up of 2 different components. One is the binding site and second is the catalytic site. Binding site is the site at which the substrate binds, and catalytic site where the substrate takes part in the catalysis. Whatever the cofactors or whatever the metal ions which are involved in the binding with the substrate, they are generally present at the binding site of the enzyme, and coenzymes, mainly the vitamins which act as a coenzyme for various enzymes which participate in the catalysis, are present in the catalytic site of the enzyme. So both this binding and catalytic site, they are the part of the active site. Now nearly all the known enzymes are proteins, we know. However, proteins do not have an absolute monopoly on the catalysis. We know the discovery of catalytic active RNA, which is involved in the splicing mechanism, provides compelling evidence that RNA was an early biocatalyst. So this is just a small preamble regarding the general features of the enzyme, but the important is the classification. We know that as per the Enzyme Commission and International Union of Biochemistry, there are 6 major classes of enzyme: oxidoreductases, transferases, hydrolases, lyases, isomerases, and ligases. And many questions from these different classes of enzyme is being asked. It has been observed that sometime they will ask you the question from all these different class in such a way that there is some twisting in the concept. For example, they may ask you that those enzymes which are involved in the transfer of electrons are known as. Now when you read the word transfer, you jump to the conclusion that this enzyme may belong to the transferase category. But actually this enzyme is not involved in the transfer of functional group. These enzymes are involved in the transfer of electrons, and that's why it belongs to the oxidoreductase class. They may give you some biochemical reaction and ask you that what may be the first, second or third digit of the EC number of this particular enzyme which is catalyzing this metabolic reaction. We know about the EC number where the first digit indicates the main class, the second digit indicates the subclass, the third digit indicates the subclass, and the fourth digit indicates the number of enzyme in that class. So that's why they may ask you that if the reaction is from X to Y, the enzyme catalyzing this reaction from X to Y, what may be the first digit or the second digit or the third digit of this enzyme in that class. So when you prepare all these different classes of the enzyme, you have to prepare each class of the enzyme at least up to 3 digits, so that you will have the complete insight of the mechanism regarding all these different classes of enzymes. Okay, now the mechanism of action. We know that enzyme, they will catalyze thermodynamically favorable biochemical reaction. Now what do we mean by thermodynamically favorable biochemical reaction? Those reactions which are having the free energy change negative. It means the free energy of the product should be less than that of the free energy of the reactants. Then and then only the reaction can proceed spontaneously. Now let us go to the paper in order to understand the mechanism of action of this enzyme. I will show you on the paper that what is the basic concept regarding the activation energy which will lead to the mechanism of action of the enzyme. Suppose there is one reaction that A plus B is forming the product C, and that takes place in 2 steps. First, it is forming the intermediate, that is AB, and then it is forming the final product C. Now what is this AB? This AB is the transition state. Now the A and B should have sufficient amount of free energy that when they will collide with each other, they will form the transition state. And in order to form the transition state, they have to cross the barrier of E, and this E is nothing but the energy of activation. Now for any reaction, if we want to calculate the rate constant, the rate constant can be calculated as K is equal to A into E minus E upon RT. Now this RT represents the kinetic energy of the reactants, and this E represents the energy of activation which any reactant should cross in order to form the transition state. Now how it can be possible? It can be possible when we increase the free energy of the reaction, or we can say the kinetic energy of the reactant. It means that when RT is greater than E, then the delta G for that particular reaction will be negative. That reaction will become spontaneous. Or another option is that you reduce the energy of activation. So what will happen? That simply we have seen that in many of the chemical reaction, just by simply increasing the temperature, we can increase the rate of the reaction. The reason is that increase in the temperature is increasing the RT, that is the kinetic energy, over the energy of activation, and that's why the reaction becomes spontaneous. The molecules or reactants are colliding with each other with a greater and greater frequency. But in case of the enzyme, the E, that is the energy of activation, is used, and as a result transition state formation takes place as a faster rate as compared to uncatalyzed reaction, and that's why we have the formation of the final product C as a faster rate as compared to that of the uncatalyzed reaction. So this is the basic mechanism of the enzyme catalyzed reaction. It may be a acid base catalysis, it may be a covalent catalysis, or it may be a substrate strength theory. In all these different mechanisms, we will have the energy of activation which is being reduced by the enzyme, so that the reactants can cross the barrier of energy of activation in order to form the transition state, and from the transition state the product can be formed easily. So let us go to the slide again. Same has been shown in the form of the graph of free energy versus the reaction which is the reaction progress. Now here you can see the difference between the energy of activation with respect to the catalyzed and uncatalyzed reaction. So we know that the enzymes, they will catalyze the reaction by lowering the energy of activation. Okay, now let us take few model questions from this and then we will move ahead. The question is that the binding energy released in the enzyme substrate complex formation causes, the options are given: A, decrease in the free energy of the products, decrease in the free energy of the substrates, increase in the activation energy, or decrease in the activation energy. Now as we have discussed earlier that the D option is correct, that there is a decrease in the energy of activation. Now there is some confusion between the energy of activation and the free energy. Generally we believe that the enzymes, they will affect the free energy of the reactant, but that is not the case. They will affect the energy of activation. They will lower down the energy of activation, and that's why the option D is correct. If on option C would have been correct, we have to increase the free energy of the reactant so that they can cross the barrier of energy of activation. But here, since enzymes, they are decreasing the energy of activation, it will lead to the formation of the product at a much faster rate. So that's why the correct option is D, that is decrease in the energy of activation. Let us take the another model question. An enzyme catalyzing the reaction glycerate 3-phosphate to glycerate 2-phosphate would have EC number with first digit. What will be the first digit for the enzyme which is catalyzing conversion of glycerate 3-phosphate to glycerate 2-phosphate? Now let us go to the paper in order to understand this question. Question is conversion of glycerate 3-phosphate. What is the structure of glycerate 3-phosphate? Is COOH, CHOH, CH2OH, and this is getting converted into glycerate 2-phosphate, that is COOH, CHOP, and CH2OH. I am sorry, here it is a phosphate group. This is a glycerate 3-phosphate. Okay, now here what this question says? This question says that there is a transfer of phosphate group, but this transfer of phosphate group is taking place from carbon number 3 to carbon number 2. It means here the reaction is responsible for transferring this phosphate group within the molecule itself. It means it is transferring this phosphate group from carbon number 3 to 2 of the same molecule. So that's why we can say that it is the intramolecular transfer reaction. It is the intramolecular transfer reaction because the transfer of phosphate group is taking place within the same molecule. Now, these kind of reactions are being catalyzed by the enzyme which belong to the category of mutase, which belongs to the category of mutase. For example, phosphoglyceromutase. This category of enzyme, they will just transfer the functional group within the same molecule, and that's why here in this particular case the enzyme will be mutase, which belongs to isomerase category. Same reaction you have observed in case of the glycolysis again, that is the 3-phosphoglycerate to 2-phosphoglycerate. Many such reactions, for example malonyl CoA to methyl malonyl CoA, or transfer of the methyl group within the same molecule, or transfer of any other functional group within the same molecule. There are many such examples in different metabolic pathway. So this reaction is being catalyzed by the mutase, which belongs to the category of isomerase. Now here you may have the confusion that why this does not belong to the transferase. The reason is that the transferase is the group of enzyme. Suppose example, if you have the glucose which reacts with the ATP and form glucose 6-phosphate plus ADP. Now in this reaction, the source of the phosphate is the another molecule, that is ATP. So there is a intermolecular transfer. There is a intermolecular transfer between the glucose and the ATP. Glucose is a separate molecule, ATP is a separate molecule, and from the ATP the phosphate group is being transferred here in order to form the glucose 6-phosphate. So this kind of reaction where the functional group is provided by altogether a different moiety, or when there is a intermolecular transfer of the functional group, all those enzymes, they belong to the class transferase. So this is the basic difference between the transferase and the mutase. Now let us go to the slide. So the correct option here will be C, that is 5, because the mutase belongs to the isomerase class. So here they may also ask you that if there are some enzyme which are responsible for the intramolecular oxidation reduction, for example keto to enol or enol to keto form formation, so they do not belong to the oxidoreductase but they belong to the isomerase. So this kind of twisting of the concept may be possible in these type of competitive exams. So you have to be very careful when you are reading the question. On the first site you may write that 2 may be the, or A may be the correct option, but actually the correct option is 5, that is C. The reason is that here there is a intramolecular transfer of the functional group. Okay, again one more question, that which type of the enzyme will catalyze the following reaction: CH3COCOH plus H plus, which gives acetaldehyde and carbon dioxide. Now we know that there are certain enzymes which will synthesize the bond without using ATP. Now at first sight you may find that this may be the reduction reaction because the carbonyl group is getting, or you can say the COO group is getting converted into the CHO group, but that is not the case. This is the reaction where C double bond O and the COH of this particular moiety are being removed in the form of the CO2, and the H plus is being incorporated over here. So there is a formation of the aldehyde group over here, and that's why it will lead to the formation of the new molecule, that is the acetaldehyde, with the removal of the carbon dioxide. So that's why this kind of reaction, it will belong to the lyases, not the ligase, isomerase or oxidoreductase. If you look at this reaction at first sight, you may find that it may belong to the oxidoreductase, but here you can see there is no involvement of NAD or NADH. You may find that it may be belong to isomerase, but see, the isomerases are generally the reversible reaction. It is a reaction which is proceeding in the unidirection. Ligases is not possible because in order to synthesize the bond in ligases, you require ATP, high energy compound. So that's why the option is the lyase, that is the A. Okay, now very important aspect of the enzymology is the enzyme kinetics. What do we mean by kinetics? Kinetics means the study of the rate of the reaction and how it changes with the change in the experimental parameters. For example, if the substrate at a particular time t is getting converted into the product, then the velocity of this reaction can be measured by measuring that how much amount of product is being formed per minute, or you can say that how much amount of substrate which is being consumed per minute. So that's why this kind of relationship is very important to calculate the unit activity of the enzyme. There are many questions on the unit activity of the enzyme can be asked. So if I need to define what is the unit of the enzyme, it is the micromole of product formed by the enzyme by 1 ml of enzyme per minute. Not only that, the total protein in a system, if we use to divide the unit activity, it will give you the specific activity of the enzyme, and we know that the specific activity is the measure of the purification of the enzyme. So the specific activity is the activity units divided by total protein of that particular system. So many questions from this particular topic can be asked. In that case, you should be thorough in the basic aspect of the enzyme kinetics. What do we mean by a first order reaction? What do we mean by second order reaction? So on and so forth. What is the relationship between the enzyme and the substrate at different substrate concentration? What is the relationship between the different rate constants and the enzyme and substrate? Okay. Now this is a very well known Michaelis-Menten equation. V0 is equal to Vmax into S upon Km plus S. However, this equation is not the actual Michaelis-Menten equation. This equation is known as MM equation. Actual Michaelis-Menten equation is V0 is equal to Vmax into S upon Ks plus S. If in the place of Km, if I will put Ks, it will become the actual Michaelis-Menten equation. But this is the equation which is being introduced by the modification of that actual Michaelis-Menten equation by considering the rate constant K2. If you recall that in Michaelis-Menten equation there are two different assumptions. One is the equilibrium assumption and second is the steady state assumption. And in the equilibrium assumption, the investigations are restricted only up to the formation of the ES complex, and the breakdown of the ES complex into the product has been considered negligible, and that's why the rate constant was considered as a negligible entity. But here, in case of the Km, this Km is made up of two rate constants, K2, K1 and K minus 1, where K2 represents the rate constant of ES complex breakdown into E plus P. K minus 1 represents the formation of E plus S complex from ES complex, and K1 is the rate constant from E plus S to ES. So from this equation many different questions are asked, and what is important here is that relationship between the Km and substrate concentration at different initial velocities. Many questions from this particular relationship has been asked in the competitive examination. Another important parameter is the turnover number. How we can calculate the turnover number of the specific enzyme. So for that you need to have the maximum velocity of that particular enzyme and the total enzyme concentration. So what do we mean by KK? Turnover number is the amount of the molecules of the substrate which are being converted into the product per molecule of the enzyme per minute, or you can say per second. So that is the KCAT. After the formation of the product, the enzyme is set free, and how many times that enzyme again and again combined with the substrate and form the product, and it can be calculated by Vmax upon ET. So the specificity constant is also one of the important parameter in order to analyze the enzyme throughout the substrate range, and it can be expressed in terms of the KCAT by Km value. Now it has been observed that many questions are being asked when you may be asked that if one particular enzyme is given, and with respect to this particular enzyme 3-4 different substrates are given showing different KCAT or different Km value. Now in order to find out that to which substrate the enzyme will catalyze the reaction with a best efficiency, in that case you have to neither depend upon the Km nor upon the Kcat, but you have to take the ratio of Kcat by Km, and many examples on this particular logic is being asked in the various competitive examinations. Now let us discuss some model question, and in order to discuss this model question, what is the model question? In enzyme mechanism, what substrate concentration relative to Km is needed for the reaction rate to be 0.25 Vmax? Now let us go to the paper. We will see this, we will solve this example on the paper, and I will show you how we can solve this particular example and come to the correct answer. Let us go to the paper in order to solve this question. Is that in enzyme mechanism, what substrate concentration is needed for the reaction rate to be 0.25 of Vmax? It means it is, you can say, 1/4 of the maximum velocity. Now we know the equation. So here we can say that here the initial velocity which has been given, that is 1/4 of the maximum velocity, that is Vmax by 4. Now just now we have discussed about the Michaelis-Menten equation. V0 is equal to Vmax into S upon Km plus S. Now we know that the maximum velocity, the initial velocity is 0.25% of the Vmax, or we can say 1/4 of the Vmax. So if we substitute this value of V0 in the equation, what can be the scenario? Suppose if I will replace V0 with Vmax by 4, then what will be the reaction? You just have to do the simple algebra calculation, that is Vmax into S upon Km plus S. If I will cancel both of this, then I have 1/4 is equal to S upon Km plus S. So that's why I have Km plus S is equal to 4S. So if I will take this S to the right hand side of the equation, in that case Km is equal to 4S minus S, and that's why Km is equal to 3S. Now what is the question? That how much substrate concentration is needed? So that's why substrate concentration S is equal to Km by 3, or you can say 1/3 Km. So here the correct option will be Km by 3, or you can say 1/3 Km. So you have been given 4 different options: 1/9 Km, 1/3 Km, Km, and 1/4 Km. So if you just put the value of V0 in the equation, you will be able to calculate what is the concentration of substrate which is corresponding to the Km, and that is Km by 3. So the correct option is B, that is Km by 3 can be calculated this way. One more question related to this. Let us look at this question, that if the substrate concentration in enzyme catalyzed reaction is equal to half Km, then initial velocity V0 will be. Now see, there is some misconception as far as the relationship between the Km and Vmax is concerned. When we ask to the students that what is Km, they say Km is equal to Vmax by 2. Now that is not the case. Km is that substrate concentration at which initial velocity is 50% of the maximum velocity, or initial velocity is 1/2 of the maximum velocity. So here already Km which is being given, that is half, equal to half Km, the substrate concentration which is given. Let us go to the paper. Substrate concentration is already given. and that substrate concentration is half km. So if we derive this equation for the km, then km is equal to 2s. Now we know the mm equation. V0 is equal to Vmax into S upon Km plus S. Now we know what is the value of Km. Value of Km is 2S. So that's why if we replace the value of 2S over here at the place of the Km, then we have Vmax into S upon 2S plus S. So that's why here we have Vmax into S upon 3S. So this S will be cancelled, and that's why we have V0 is equal to Vmax upon 3, that corresponds to 0.33 Vmax. So here V0 is equal to 0.33 Vmax is the correct answer. So you just have to simply put the different values of the values in the equation, and then you will have the correct answer. You just have to replace the correct value with the in the Michaelis-Menten equation, and you will have the answer. So here the correct answer will be B, that is 0.33 Vmax. What is the turnover number? What is the turnover number for an enzyme catalyzed reaction which has maximum velocity of 3.47 moles per liter when the enzyme concentration is 6.85 into 10 raised to minus 1 gram per liter, with molecular weight of enzyme which is being given, that is 12,800 gram per mole. Now let us first see what is given for us to calculate. We have discussed that turnover number can be calculated by dividing the maximum velocity with the total enzyme concentration. So maximum velocity is given. Let us go to the paper. Maximum velocity is given, that is Vmax is equal to 3.47 moles per liter. Total enzyme concentration is also given, that is ET is equal to 6.85 into 10 raised to minus 1 grams per liter, and the molecular weight is given. The molecular weight is 12,800 gram per mole, and we have been asked to find out that what is the turnover number. Turnover number means that how much number of substrate molecules are getting converted into the product per minute per active site of the enzyme. Now we have discussed earlier in the earlier slide that Kcat is equal to Vmax upon Et. Now Vmax is being given, Et is being given. Simply take the ratio 3.47 upon 6.85 into 10 raised to minus 1. But we have to find out that per active site. It means we have to taken into the consideration the molecular weight of that enzyme, so that we will be able to find out that per mole of the molecule of the enzyme or per active site of the enzyme, how many substrate molecules are getting converted into the product. So that's why this is to be multiplied with the molecular weight which is already given, that is 12,800. Now if you simplify this equation, your answer will be 6.48 into 10 raised to 4 per minute. It means this much molecule of substrates will be converted into the product per minute by the given enzyme, which is nothing but the turnover number of that particular enzyme. Okay, so option A is given over here, that is 6.48 into 10 raised to 4 per minute, 5.258 into 10 raised to minus 3 per minute, 1.759 into 10 raised to 5 per minute, and 1.27 into 10 raised to minus 5 per minute. So we have calculated and we have seen that option A is correct. So in order to find out the turnover number, you should have the data regarding the maximum velocity, you should have the data regarding the total enzyme concentration, and you should have the data regarding the molecular weight of that enzyme. If you manage to find out the data from the question, you will be able to do any question on the turnover number of the particular enzyme. Now enzyme Q can catalyze the conversion of molecule A to A prime and B to B prime. But the Km for A to A prime is 3 times more than B to B prime. Then what will be the relationship between concentration of substrate A and B when both the reactions are proceeding at half Vmax? Now suppose let us write the Km for reactant A as Kma and the Km for reactant B as a Kmb. Okay, now we know that what is the significance of the Km. Km measures the affinity of the enzyme towards the substrate. Higher the Km, lower the affinity, and lower the Km, higher the affinity. Now it has been mentioned in the question that the Km for A to A prime is 3 times more than B. So it indicates that the value of Km is 3 times more than that of the Kmb. It means that more substrate is required for the enzyme in order to bind with A than B. So it means 3 times, you can say approximately, more quantity of substrate A is required in order to bind with the enzyme with respect to the substrate B. Now when they will reach to the half of the Vmax, the A must have consumed more, A must be consumed 3 times more than that of the B. So that's why the correct option will be that A at that point of time will be more than the concentration of B. The reason is that the Km value for the reactant A is higher, 3 times higher than that of the B. So the conversion of A to A star takes place at the higher concentration of A than that of the B, and that's why the correct option is A greater than B. So the correct option is A, that is A concentration of A will be greater than B when both the reaction are approaching half Vmax. B greater than A is not possible because, as it has been discussed, that the B to B star, B to B prime is performing at a faster rate than that of A to A star because there is a difference in the Km value with respect to the A and B. So it means the value of B is 3 times less than that of the A, and that's why the affinity of the enzyme towards the B is more than that of the A. So that's why the concentration of B greater than A is not possible. C, A is equal to B is also not possible. If it would have been possible, both should have the same Km value. But it has been mentioned in the question itself that the Km value of A to A star is 3 times more than that of the B to B star. So it is also not possible, and that's why the correct option is A, that is concentration of A greater than concentration of B. Let us go to the next slide, please. Okay, now this is also very important. Enzyme inhibition and enzyme regulation. We have by and large 2 different kinds of the inhibition: reversible inhibition and irreversible inhibition. And in reversible inhibition also we have 3 different types: competitive, non-competitive and uncompetitive. Now what is important as far as these reactions are concerned? In this particular three different types of inhibition, you need to study their mechanism, you need to study which are the different examples, you need to study what is the change in the kinetic parameters, and the most important is that you need to remember the different characteristic Lineweaver-Burk plots regarding all these different type of inhibitions. Next slide please. Okay, now this is the example of the competitive inhibition where your inhibitor may be the substrate analog and it may bind with the enzyme to the active site. It will compete with the substrate in order to bind with the active site. So you will have only two options, that you will have either have formation of the ES complex or you will have formation of the EI complex. So here the enzyme can never encounter substrate and inhibitor simultaneously on its active site. You will have either formation of the ES complex or formation of the EI complex depending upon the relative concentrations of substrate and inhibitors in the reaction system. So here, as they are competing with the active site, Km will definitely increase, but when you increase the substrate concentration, as the substrate concentration increasing, it will outnumber the inhibitor molecules and you will be able to restore the Vmax. Next slide please. In the non-competitive inhibition, since the inhibitor is not the structural analog, it will bind to the ES complex. There is no competition between the inhibitor and substrate in order to bind with the ES complex. So here you will have the formation of the ESI or the EIS complex, which is not found in the competitive inhibition. In competitive inhibition, you will have either EI or ES complex formation, but in this case, you will have ESI complex formation because altogether different binding sites are there for the inhibitor and the substrate. Next one please. In uncompetitive inhibition, binding of substrate is prerequisite before the inhibitor binds with the enzyme. Here, inhibitor binds to the different site, but the site of the inhibitor binding is nearer to the substrate and it will not open unless until the substrate bind to its active site. So once the substrate binds to the active site of the enzyme, there are some conformation changes which are communicated to the inhibitor binding site. The inhibitor binding site will open, it will allow the inhibitor to bind and it will form the ESI complex. Here you will never have EIES or EIS complex. You have to remember that here we will have the strictly the formation of the ESI complex, as the binding of substrate is prerequisite before the binding of the inhibitor. Next please. These are some of the characteristic plot which you need to remember regarding the competitive, non-competitive and uncompetitive. If we look at the competitive inhibition, we can see that there is an increase in the Km, but there is no change in the Vmax. In non-competitive, there is no change in the Km, but change in the Vmax. And in uncompetitive, there is a decrease in the Km and Vmax both. Now in order to remember this, first you should know what are the different intercept on the Lineweaver-Burk plot represents. Now we know that the intercept on the y-axis represents the value of Vmax and the intercept on the x-axis represents the value of Km. Next one please. Irreversible inhibitors. I apologize for the bad quality of this slide, but the irreversible inhibitors are also very important because they are the active site directed inhibitors. They will bind to the specific active site residues which are present on the enzyme. For example, here it has been given that paramethyl sulfonyl fluoride, it will exclusively bind to the hydroxyl group of the serine which is present on the active site of the enzyme, and iodoacetate or iodoacetamide, it will specifically bind to the sulfhydryl group of the proteins or the enzymes. And that's why these inhibitors, since they cannot be easily removed from the enzyme by the dialysis or any other mechanism, they permanently damage the enzyme, and that's why they are called irreversible inhibitors. But these inhibitors, since they are active site directed, they have important role in the active site mapping. So many questions can be asked from this particular irreversible inhibitors corresponding to which particular catalytic residue it inhibits. Or you may be asked that if enzyme X is inhibited by paramethyl sulfonyl fluoride or diisopropyl fluorophosphate, which active site residue must be present on this particular enzyme? In that case, your answer should be the serine can be the amino acid which may be present at the active site of the enzyme. Next one, please. Okay, enzyme regulation, in which you can go through the feedback inhibition, feedback repression, covalent modification and allosteric regulation, from which many questions are being asked in the competitive examination. Next one, please. Let us discuss some model question. Okay, one graph is given in this question. Okay, plot A and plot B. Now here, this plot A and plot B represents two different inhibitors. Plot A represents inhibitor A and plot B represents inhibitor B. Okay, so now let us go to the question in the form of the text. So what I have shown you is the Lineweaver-Burke plot for an enzyme and inhibitor. Now in the Lineweaver-Burke plot for an enzyme, substrate and inhibitor, plot B is for what? Plot B is for inhibitor B. But what relationship with respect to plot A is true, which has been given in the form of the four different options which we need to identify. A non-competitive inhibitor at higher concentration than plot A, a competitive inhibitor at lower concentration than plot A, a competitive inhibitor at higher concentration than plot A, and uncompetitive inhibitor. Let us go to the previous slide, please. Previous one. Okay. Now, let us understand this plot properly and then I will explain. Here we know that the intercept on the x and y axis gives the value of Km and Vmax respectively. Suppose this is your Lineweaver-Burke plot. This is 1 upon S. This is 1 upon V. Suppose this is plot A, for example, and suppose this is plot B. Now here we can see that the kind of pattern indicates that the intercept on the y-axis, intercept on the y-axis, that is same whether it is a plot A or plot B, it intersect at the same point on the y-axis. It means there is no change in the Vmax. It means there is no change in the Vmax. Vmax is constant. But there are two different intercepts on the x-axis. There are two different intercepts. One is corresponding to line B and one is corresponding to line A. So suppose this is -1 and this is -2. This is -1 and this is -2, and this gives us the value of Km. Now what is the intercept on y-axis represents? It gives the value of -1 upon Km. So here for plot B it will be -1 upon -1, that is equal to 1, and for plot A it will be -1 upon -2, that is equal to 0.5. So here you can see that this is for plot B, this is for plot A, which indicates that plot A, it has the more affinity than that of the plot B, the value of Km which is obtained from the plot B, because both the intercepts are different. So this indicates that this is the classical example of the competitive inhibition. So since there are one intercept on the y-axis and two different intercept on the x-axis, so what are the different options which are being given? Non-competitive inhibitor at higher concentration than plot A. That is not possible, because we have seen that this is not a non-competitive inhibition. This is a competitive inhibition because we have we have one intercept on the y-axis and two intercept on the x-axis. If it would have been non-competitive, we should have two intercept on the y-axis and a single intercept on the x-axis. That is not the case. So first option is totally rejected. The second option is competitive inhibitor at lower concentration than plot A. Now plot A has much lower Km value than that of the B. So that's why the C option, that is competitive inhibitor at higher concentration than plot A, because the value of Km, if you find out roughly from this particular plot, it is 1, while the value of A is 0.5. So it is almost 2 times more than that of the A. So that's why, let us go to the slide. That's why the correct option is competitive inhibitor at higher concentration than plot A is the correct option. Uncompetitive inhibitor is not at all the right option, because the pattern which has been shown in the graph clearly represents the competitive inhibition. So in order to answer this question, first of all you should know what is the Lineweaver-Burk pattern of that particular inhibition plot. Next one, next slide please. Okay, let us see one more model question, that the addition of a small quantity of succinate to a macerated tissue strongly promotes the oxidation of pyruvate to carbon dioxide. And if the tissue is incubated with the malonate prior to the addition of the succinate, oxidation of pyruvate stops. It is because of, we know the structure of succinic acid, COOH, CH2, CH2, COOH, and let us draw the structure of malonic acid, COOH, CH2 and COOH. Okay, so what is the difference? Difference is with respect to only this methyl carbon. So we can say that this is a malonate and this is succinate. Now you can see that malonate is the structural analog of succinate. Only the difference is with respect to the 1-methyl group. So that's why this malonate, when we add to the macerated tissue, it stops the oxidation of succinate to fumarate, because it competitively inhibits the succinate dehydrogenase enzyme. Succinate dehydrogenase enzyme. So the question is very simple, but it has been asked in such a way that you may not come up to this kind of conclusion. You may find that this question is related to something else, but this question is related to the competitive inhibition. So the correct answer is C, that there is a competitive inhibition by the malonate, because the malonate is the structural analog of the succinic acid, which competitively inhibits the succinate dehydrogenase enzyme. Next one please. Okay, which of the following regulatory reaction involves reversible covalent modification of an enzyme? Enzyme can be regulated by many different ways. Sometimes cell need to regulate the enzyme temporarily, not permanently, because every time a cell cannot synthesize the enzyme as per its requirement, because it is not advisable as far as the economy of the cell is concerned. So here 4 different options are given. Allosteric modulation. Allosteric modulation is not a reversible. Competitive inhibition, zymogen activation and phosphorylation. Now covalent modification means that some of the active site residues of the enzyme is covalently modified. For example, in glycogen phosphorylase, it is activated when it is get phosphorylated. You know this example, under the influence of the glucagon or the epinephrine. So this is the classic example of the covalent modification, where the glycogen phosphorylase is phosphorylated at the serine residues and it is getting phosphorylated. So here it is getting phosphorylated. So once it gets phosphorylated, it becomes active. There are many enzymes which may undergo phosphorylation and becomes inactive. But when it comes to the covalent modification, it refers to the covalent modification of certain active site residues which are present on the active site of the enzyme, and that's why the correct option is D, that is the phosphorylation. It is not the permanent inhibition of the enzyme. There are certain enzymes like phosphatase, they will again dephosphorylate this enzyme and make them inactive. So certain enzyme undergo phosphorylation, becomes active. Glycogen phosphorylase is the classic example. Certain example which will undergo dephosphorylation and it will become active. Glycogen synthase is the classic example in this regard. So these different types of covalent modification, they are very important not to regulate the enzyme activity but also to locate what can be the location of that particular enzyme. Apart from phosphorylation, you may have acylation, adenylation, farnesylation, which will modify the activity of the enzyme and it will regulate the enzyme accordingly. Which of the following are true when diisopropyl fluorophosphate, DIPF is the short form, diisopropyl fluorophosphate inhibits the chymotrypsin activity? Now DIPF is the irreversible inhibitor, and if you recall, irreversible inhibitor will bind to the active site of the enzyme. DIPF will bind to the serine residue of the active site of the chymotrypsin. So that's why what will happen? PQRS, 4 possibilities are given. P, ET decreases, Q, Vmax decreases, R, Km decreases, and S, Vmax increases. Now once the DIPF will bind to the active site, the total enzyme which is present in the system, it is a irreversible reaction. So that's why the total enzyme present in the system, the active portion of the total enzyme present in the system will reduce. It will not be able to bind with the substrate because it is an active site directed inhibitor. So ET decreases, and once the ET decreases, there is a decrease in the Vmax because no enzyme molecules in the active form available which can bind with the substrate, form the ES complex and form the product. So that's why here the correct option is P and Q only. C, that is R only, is not correct because Km decreases is not possible since substrate is not in a position to bind with the enzyme, and Vmax increase is not possible since enzyme is not acting on the substrate at all because it is in the presence of the irreversible inhibitor. So the correct option is A, that is P and Q only. So I hope that the lecture which has been delivered with solution of some important questions regarding to CSIR net from these two topics, bioenergetics and enzymology, you may found it fruitful and you may practice on these lines in order to crack this kind of examination. Thank you very much.